So the Nintendo Wii U has seen a large part of its library ported to the Nintendo Switch or even to other platforms altogether. Now, on one hand, that's a really good thing because the Wii U wasn't a commercial success, and it allows a lot more people to enjoy those titles that otherwise would have been lost forever on the Wii U. Just a couple of those titles, for example, is games like Super Mario 3D World and Mario Kart 8. Now, there's plenty more games that I'm about to show you that have been ported to the Nintendo Switch or to other consoles, but ultimately I feel like they are best played on the Wii U, so that's what I want to talk about today. So what I've went ahead and done is pulled 5 games from my personal library, my collection of Wii U games that I think are best played on the Wii U. Now, these have been ported to the Switch, even the PS4 or Xbox One, but I really think the Wii U is the de facto way to play these titles. Now, the first title isn't necessarily a game that is best played on the Wii U, but in my opinion, I think the opening of control schemes available on the Wii U make this version the best for me to play. I'm also not a big fan of the franchise or the series of games to begin with, so this is more just a personal opinion. This is why it's kind of low on the list. The game is Hyrule Warriors. This game I originally bought for my friend who is a huge Legend of Zelda fan, but he never bought a Wii U. Let's be honest, a lot of people didn't, regardless if they were fans of the games or franchises that were coming out on the console. Now, I understand that the Switch version has pretty much all the DLC and a bunch of other content that's been added and updates throughout its lifespan. This game is not one that I would recommend buying a Wii U for, but it is something that I think is worth picking up if you have a Wii U, because being able to just sit on the couch with this on the gamepad is really cool. Playing this game with a Wii remote and nunchuck also has this special feel to it. It's something that you can't get on the Nintendo Switch, so for that reason, I think it's worth it. Now, I played a lot of Mario Kart Wii when I was growing up with the Nintendo Wii and the Wii U, and something about the Wii remote and nunchuck combination is just very special to me. So for that reason, I think Hyrule Warriors is best played on the Wii U. So the next game is a really weird title because it's been ported to the Switch, and arguably you get no definitive experience on the Wii U, but I would argue that if you have a Wii U and you're torn between getting this or the Switch version, I think that New Super Mario Bros. U is best played on the Wii U, simply because the features and things that they've added to the Switch version don't necessarily warrant a $60 price tag when you can get this game a lot of the times for less than 20 bucks at some retro game stores, or if you just shop around online. Another big thing for this game was using the Wii U gamepad. You can add blocks to help. So if you have a younger kid or just someone who doesn't really want to play the game but still wants to be a part of the experience, you can hand them the gamepad while you play with the Wii remote, nunchuck, or whatever other controller it supports. And the person with the gamepad can set up blocks on screen using the touchpad for you to use to get to hard to reach places or cover gaps that you otherwise wouldn't be able to. I think it's a really cool way to also let a younger kid learn to play the game, and you can maybe just help them from not dying, right? So if you want your kid to learn and get better at something like a 2D platformer, you having the gamepad and saying, hey, you're in control, I'm just going to be here as backup, I think that's a really cool experience. And that's something you can do on the Switch, but it's not as fun doing it with the makeshift pointer situation that they have with the Joy-Cons. And ultimately, I think that the fact that they just called it New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe for the Switch was very lazy. I think they should have just went and made a full-fledged 2D Mario game for the Nintendo Switch. But for New Super Mario Bros. U, I think that it's just a staple game. It's one of those games that should have stayed on the Wii U. I know that might be a little controversial just because, you know, why not have more players enjoy it? But I think it marks the end of an era, right? The new Super Mario series, I think, should have ended with the Wii genre, the Nintendo DS, the Wii, that whole generation of Nintendo. So the next title is actually a lot of the same. What they added into the Switch version isn't, in my opinion, really worth the upgrade. Some may call it a quality of life thing, something that makes the game more accessible, but Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze is a game that, I mean, it's cheaper on the Wii U. You don't get any significant improvements in terms of, you know, quality over performance or anything like that. And what they added in the Switch version with Funky Kong long and whatnot. It's not really worth it to me, especially because I'm pretty sure they're selling the game now. The cheapest I've been able to find it for is like $50 or $40 or something like that. So, I mean, I understand that games like these, once the Wii U eShop shuts down, once more and more people get on the Wii U bandwagon, because usually people influx to these consoles after the fact for whatever reason, and I can see this game being one of those ones that people would want to play, but the only real accessible option is going to be on the Switch. So I'm glad it's there, but I really think that if you, again, are in the situation where you have the option of getting one or the other, I think that the Wii U version is just the easier version to get into. Again, you get more control schemes. You can use the Wii Remote and Nunchuck, you can use the Pro Controller, you can use the gamepad. I think that this is just an easy pick for the Wii U. Now, the last two games are actually games that I really think are just superior 110% on the Wii U. One of them I think is more obvious, the one we're about to talk about, but the last one I think is going to probably stir some heads until I kind of make sense of it. But before we get to that one, let's go ahead and talk about ZombiU. Now, this game did eventually get a port to PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. I don't think it came to Switch. I may be wrong with that. But either way, this removed two vital factors from the Wii U when it got ported to those other consoles. Now, one of the big selling points of this game was the realistic way of managing your inventory. Now, in this game, it is a survival horror game. You are a person leaving your safe house, a little shelter that you've made for yourself, and you have to, try to figure out what's going on, find a better route to safety, because obviously you're not going to survive by yourself in the sewers or in the subway for that long. So, it's imperative that you get to some form of safety, find other people and whatnot. And one of the big things with that is while you are on the run going through the streets of London, you want to make sure that you are, managing your inventory, because space is limited and what you carry with you can make the difference between getting to your objective or not. And one of the things this game did that I think is very unique is if you go into your backpack to mess with things, whatever, the action doesn't stop. So while you are on the gamepad screen using that to manage your stuff, the game is still happening. So you're constantly having to look up from the gamepad to the TV to make sure that there's no zombies coming up on you, right? You can still hear what's going on. So it adds that sense of terror, which is a feature that is removed from the Xbox One and PS4 version, because while I do believe things are still going on when you're in your thing, when you're in your backpack, I don't know if they just pause the game completely for you to access your inventory, but at the very least, it's not on the same level because you can't really see what's going on around you. You can't see what's behind your character. You're kind of taken away, right? It's more of a traditional menu system. Another thing that really got removed from the PS4 and Xbox One version is multiplayer. Now, this is one of those few instances, like Call of Duty on the Wii U. ZombiU made an excellent case for gamepad and off-TV multiplayer, right? So one of the game modes in this is somebody is the zombie king. So you have the gamepad and you see the map that the player 2 is on the TV, and player 1 is putting zombies down on the map while player 2 is trying to complete their objective. And player 2 can't see what's going on the gamepad, but player 1 can see everything on the gamepad, right? So you are on the TV using the Pro Controller or Wii Remote, Nunchuck, whatever, and trying to, capture your objectives, do your stuff, and someone's just going ham on you with zombies, right? There is a little radius around you that they cannot spawn in, but once they get leveled up, there's a whole kind of like a Plants versus Zombies sort of thing to it in terms of how you unlock more zombies and that you use up energy, so you can only plant so many at a time depending on the type. It's really cool, and that is a feature that is gone on PS4 and Xbox One. So if you're looking for a cool multiplayer experience above nothing else on the Wii U, this is definitely one of the best games to get. I think this was a really good launch title for the Wii U, and I regret getting it so late in the Wii U's life cycle, if I'm being honest with you. Alright, so the last game that I want to talk about is one that is going to stir some heads, but let me go ahead and explain myself first. Now, the reason I put this last is because I think it does require the most explanation, but that is going to be Super Smash Bros. For Wii U. Now, I would argue that Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is the definitive Super Smash Bros. Experience from this generation. But one feature that I think cannot be understated, that I think is really cool and does not exist on the Switch at all, is the integration with Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo 3DS. And what this allows you to do is you can use this copy of this game on a 3DS and use the 3DS as a controller for this game. Now, I believe it is behind a paywall. I think it's like $2, maybe it's $10, somewhere between there, which kind of sucks. But there's a lot of connectivity between these two. I think this really shows the vision that Nintendo originally had for the Wii U and the 3DS, and I think it's disappointing that this is one of the few games that really got to take advantage of that. So if you are constantly having friends over, you have Smash Brother parties and stuff, while the Switch is an excellent version, I mean, so is the Wii or GameCube version of Super Smash Brothers. The Wii U and 3DS combination here, being able to swap stuff back and forth and use your Mii characters and in both, and just the connectivity between these two games cannot be understated, and this is why I still haven't picked up the Switch version of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, because between these two games I get everything I want. Like if I want to play it on the go, playing it on the 3DS is a novelty. I think that's a really cool concept, and having the game like this, this is the first ever handheld version of Super Smash Bros. And this it's really strange, but it's really cool, and I think that for that reason, while yes, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is better definitively in that sense, I, on the big screen in that way, would rather just play Brawl or Melee. And if I'm wanting to kind of show off some of the quirky stuff Nintendo's been able to do or has thought of throughout their time in the gaming industry, this is a really cool way to go about it. Okay, so that was pretty much it. Those are the 5 games that I really think that just deserve a place on the Wii U, right? If you have a Wii U and a Switch and you're trying to go back and forth, I really think that some of these games are better on the Wii U, play better, have features that make them a little more novel in the long run. The Switch version, of course, being more modern and up to date, having more players, and the services not getting shut off in a few months. Obviously, that speaks volumes for itself, but if you're just looking to kick back and have some cool experiences with the Wii U, I think that even though they're on the Switch, those ones specifically that we mentioned today are really ones that you should look into. If you like this video, please drop a like, subscribe too. I'm really trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. That would be a dream come true for me. It'd be really cool. So, help me do that, and I hope to see you in the next one.